Hey guys, it's Chris. We all love toys no matter what your age. But not all of us can get whatever we want. From rare action figures to adorable teddy bears, here are 9 of the rarest toys owned by rich people. Time to get some ideas for your Christmas list. Number 9. He-Man action figure. One of the reasons why toys get so rare and valuable after years and years is because when they first came out, they were popular. But not iconic. Not yet. Some of you people out there will remember in the 1980s there were few cartoons more popular than He-Man. He and his Masters of the Universe were created as toys for the then legendary TV show, and that would spawn several spin-offs and modern adaptations. While the show doesn't hold up today to the modern standards of television, the toys are still something to behold. And they are rare because of it. In fact, the main He-Man action figure is actually one of the rarest action figures in the world today. And when the owner decided to sell it, it got a whopping $9,000 offer. And that was just for one action figure. But weirdly, this owner actually pulled it off the market before it could officially be sold. So who was the person who owned it? Well, none other than legendary actor Leonardo DiCaprio. That's right, this Oscar winner is a big He-Man fan, and he still holds the action figure to this day. Number 8. Star Wars memorabilia. Without a doubt, when a popular TV or film franchise has a massive fan base and a large collection of items to get, there are those who go all out to try to be that guy who has them all. In a galaxy far, far away, there is a franchise called Star Wars, and ever since its arrival in the 80s, it has had a major following, which continues to this day. What might surprise you, though, is that the guy who has the most Star Wars memorabilia, he actually worked on the films. His name is Steve Sansweet. And this former Wall Street worker eventually went on to work at Lucasfilm, the team behind Star Wars. And what role did he play at the company? Fan relations, weirdly enough. Anyway, over the years, Steve would go and collect anything and everything he could about Star Wars, whether it be official props, replicas, and toys. He has so much stuff that he actually decided to open up a museum to show off his massive collection. What might be going over in your head right now is that to get all this stuff and then open and maintain a museum, which is called Rancho Obi-Wan, by the way, he needed a lot of cash to do it. And this speaks nothing of the value of the items themselves, which includes some rarities that not even Star Wars fans likely know about. The Force is clearly strong with this one. Number 7. Vintage toys. The definition of vintage varies depending on the topic, but in regards to toys, it means something that was made in decades long since past. As such, there's no way to find toys like these on the market today. A great example is toys from the 20s to 40s. And there are collectors out there who go to great lengths to find such toys. Donald Kaufman is one guy who has benefited from having a large assortment of vintage toys. This all happened when he took over the family store, and soon after it became a haven for collectible toys. While he bought many of these toys for their selling price at the time, by the time he had finished his collection, he had over 7,000 toys. And the total for these toys? Well, it came out to about $7 million. Sadly, in 2009, Kaufman died of a heart attack, but his collection went to his wife, who still maintains it. What sets Kaufman apart from other collectors is that he didn't do it for the money. He did it for the history. He loved to look at the various toys and think about everything that went into making them, and the history they may have had with their owners. This is someone who truly appreciated everything that toys could do for people. Number 6. Teddy bears. As sad as it may sound, not all toys stand the test of time, but when they do, they are truly iconic, and a teddy bear is most definitely iconic. Named after the legendary President Theodore Roosevelt, nicknamed Teddy, these lovable bears have come in all shapes, sizes, and colors over the years. So you might be thinking, how does a teddy bear gain value when there's so many? Well, as in all things, it depends on who made the bear, whether it was part of a line or custom made, and of course, its age. For a man named Paul Greenwood, he decided to start collecting teddy bears, starting with his own. Over the course of his career, he actually got his hands on 1,300 teddy bears of varying rarity. I bet you didn't even think there were that many rare teddy bears out there, huh? Well, after they were appraised, the value of the collection was found to be $1.75 million. Yeah, and all of that was for teddy bears. Here's the catch, though. The way that Greenwood got the teddy bears wasn't honest. He was a swindler and a con man and used that money to get the bears. So learn from his mistakes. If you're going to make a collection, make sure you do it legally, okay? Number 5. BATHGATE Fidget Spinner. If you've been paying attention to kids in the last year or so, then you know that they have something in their hands that they like to spin quite a bit. This is the latest craze in the world, and it's known as a fidget spinner. Weirdly though, the fidget spinner is actually really quite simple to make and design, and the popularity comes from having something in your hands that you can easily do something with and yet enjoy both consciously and subconsciously. In fact, these spinners were actually made for kids with conditions like ADHD. So where does Rarity come in with a new fad? Simple, because someone made a special one called the BATHGATE spinner. Made by Revolve makers, this particular spinner is actually made out of stainless steel and looks much different than all the other spinners you've probably seen. And the price? It's $700 for this unique spinner. That's a lot. Now, technically no one actually knows who owns the spinner. But the fact of the matter is, it was made. And it wouldn't have been made if someone didn't have the desire to buy and own and show such a rare spinner. Number 4. Happy Meal toys. Picture this. You're on a road trip with your parents and you and your sibling get hungry. Your parents decide it's a good time for lunch and the closest restaurant just so happens to be a McDonald's. Naturally, being so young, you and your sibling get a Happy Meal and you rush into the box once you have it to see what Happy Meal toy you got. What you don't realize at the time is that down the road, these toys might just be worth a lot. Considering that some of these toys were made in 1979 when the Happy Meal debuted, that's a lot of rarity and a big price tag to the right person. So who would go and collect such a thing? Well, Rosie O'Donnell. That's right, the infamous yet legendary actress and TV personality loves going to McDonald's and getting Happy Meals so she can see what toys she gets. McDonald's has actually offered to just send her the toys, but she refused, knowing that this would suck the fun out of it. However, one time she did accept the gift. This was when McDonald's released 101 toys for the 101 Dalmatians animated movie. All told, she has 2,500 of these figurines, and it's growing with every new selection. Price is a bit unknown as it hasn't been appraised, but even if all her rare toys from McDonald's were appraised at $10 a piece, and that's probably lowballing it, that would be $25,000 worth of Happy Meal toys. And you know that some of them are probably worth more than that. Number 3. Board games. When I say the name Quentin Tarantino, what movie do you think of? Whatever it is, you might think that a man with such a deep love of intense and violent films would probably love collecting toys of that nature. But you would be wrong. Instead, Quentin Tarantino collects board games. I kid you not. Usually, the board games and other memorabilia he collects are connected to TV shows and movies, such as a rare Dukes of Hazzard board game that he has. Oh, and he also has a board game which apparently was supposed to connect with 2001: A Space Odyssey. Who knew? Here's another fact for you. The Dukes of Hazzard board game? One of the rarest in the world because so few were made, and that means it's worth quite the pretty penny. Board games in general can be quite rare depending on their age, connection to certain shows, and how many were actually put into production. So getting Monopoly wouldn't exactly be a good investment, unless it was a special and rare version. Or if you can find an original version of the game, just to let you know. Number 2. Batman equipment set. He is vengeance. He's the knight. He is Batman. And is one of the most popular comic book characters of all time, one with numerous comics, cartoons, TV shows, and major motion pictures made about him, it's logical that he's had a lot of toys. Granted, some of his toys are infamous for just being different outfits that were never in canon or anything, but some of his memorabilia is worth a fortune. If you don't believe me, ask Jordan Hembra, who you might know as the Toy Hunter. He's scoured the world looking for the rarest toys to find and sell. And one of them was a rare piece of Batman merchandise from 1966, when the Adam West TV show Batman was popular on the air. It was called the Batman Equipment Set, and it contained a cowl, a cape, and a utility belt that would have you dressing up like the legendary Caped Crusader. Upon finding this and a buyer, Hembro got to sell it for $20,000. Well done, old chum. Number 1. Rare German doll. Dolls are another of those toys that are beyond timeless. From Barbie to Chatty Cathy to Bratz and everything in between, dolls are for young and older girls all over the world. Yet you might be surprised to know that one of the most valuable dolls isn't even from those brands, but rather from Germany in the early 1900s. Called the Karmer and Reinhold doll, this one was made to look like a real girl, which was very popular in the early 1900s when realism overtook the need to look good. But what set this doll out from the rest is that she apparently was from an experimental mold that didn't get widely made. Some even think she was truly a one-of-a-kind doll. The owner is anonymous, however, we do know that they paid $400,000 for this rare German doll. That's insane! Thanks for watching, guys. Can you even believe the rarity of some of these toys? Or who owns them? Let me know in the comments below if maybe you've got one of these rare toys. And be sure to subscribe so I can see you next time on World List.